Hi, it's Elaine with MCPS Technology. In our third and last video about Google Forms, we're going to explore ways to maximize the advantages of using Google Forms and to explain the relationship between Google Forms and Google Spreadsheets, which is a really important relationship. Last time we were all about building surveys and quizzes with questions. So this time we're going to be looking into finding the responses to our questions, and once we find them, what we can do with them. So what you're seeing now is a survey that I often use when I'm doing professional development about Google. This pre-assessment helps me figure out where to begin training.
And as you can see here, it asks them to rate themselves in several areas. Well, today let's explore once respondents have responded, what do you do? So I'm going to show you on my survey. I'm looking at my survey in edit mode. And you've probably already noticed when you were building your form that you have an area called questions and you have an area called responses. Once you've sent your quiz or survey out, then you'll have a number right by the word responses that will tell you how many responses you have. In order to look at those, you simply have to click on responses. And the first thing you're going to see is a list of people who've responded. That's if you've asked the form to collect the username or the email. So you can look at it in summary form or individual form. Below that list, you're going to get a wonderful graphic representation of your results. So just by looking at this very briefly, I can see that 62.2% of the respondents say that they use some Google applications well, 13.5% say they're novices, and no one rated themselves an expert. So I can also look at how they rate themselves on different Google tools. So this is really helpful to me as a planner of staff development, but it's also really powerful if I can bring these results up the first day that I go to a school and I can talk about them with the staff. You can see the power in that. That's the same thing that you can do with your students. When you give them a survey or a quiz, you can bring up the graphic results and talk about them. So I'd like to show you the difference between a survey result and a quiz result. So now I'm going to click on the practice quiz that I made earlier, right? Remember that one in the last video? It was about Google. It was just 2 questions. Well, going into the edit area, I can see that I have 3 responses. Well, these are all me, but that's okay. I just want to be able to show you what that looks like. So a quiz response looks slightly different from a survey response. And it's designed to give the teacher more information. So notice again, I can see it by summary or I can see it by individual. So every individual would be me, but in your case, you could look at each student individually and see which questions they missed. Going back to the summary, notice what it shares with me. It gives me average, median, and range, a total points distribution. I can see just by looking briefly that I have 2 students that made a 50 and 1 that made a 100. I can see which questions were frequently missed. And that helps me as a teacher because I know what needs to be retaught and what doesn't need to be retaught. I can see the scores individually, and then I can look at each question and see how it fared in the quiz. And so again, this can be extremely powerful, not just for me to see as a teacher, but for me to share with students, like maybe by projecting that onto my smartboard and just talking about it in class so that we can see where we all are. There are some other things I'd like to show you too in this results area that I think you're going to find really useful. First of all, this is where you turn your form on and off. Now, if you've sent your link out and you're finished with that quiz or survey, you can simply click there and it will no longer accept responses. So if you have your data and you don't want your data to be messed with, then you can simply turn your form off. One of the other important things you can do is link your results to a spreadsheet. So this allows you to keep your results forever, really. But the great thing about both the graphic results And spreadsheet results for Google is that they update in real time. So if another student came in and took this quiz, these results would change. And they'll continue to change until you turn the form off. That's one of the things that Google is famous for, and it's a wonderful, like, try that with Excel. That's never going to happen. Anyway, okay, you know I'm a Google, well, you know I love Google, so I don't need to tell you that. Let's try something else. If I want to send these results to a spreadsheet, I simply click on this icon. I've got a couple of choices. I can create a brand new spreadsheet, or I could actually send this data to an existing spreadsheet. Let's say I'm giving the same quiz to all of my classes and I want to collect all of that data in one spreadsheet so that I can analyze and study it. I can do that. But for now, I'm just going to create a new spreadsheet to show you what that looks like. So now I'm getting the message that my spreadsheet has been created and linked. And if I go back to my drive, I will see that the spreadsheet appears right next to the quiz itself with the same name, plus the word responses. So here's my spreadsheet. It's very short because only 3 people have taken my quiz and it's only a 2-question quiz. But of course it would be much larger if I had more information here. I can see each score here, and I can keep this forever. This will update in real time as my results update. And also, if I need to do something like a mail merge, I can do that because I've collected the username, which is also the email. So this is just a good thing to have. And even if I clear my form, let me show you how to do that. We're going to go back to the response area and go to these 3 dots. Oh, one thing. I'm jumping around, sorry about that, but I'd want to do this before I forget. Remember in our last video we talked about how you don't have to send the scores out immediately. You have a choice. When you're giving a quiz and you're looking at quiz results, you can actually release the scores via email, and you do that simply by clicking here. It will show you all the people that it's about to be sent to, and of course all of these are me, but here you would see your students. Click send emails and release, and then it's going to immediately send me an email that will tell me my score. And so that's a nice feature as well. All right, going back to the idea of sending to a spreadsheet. You know you can do that right here. There's also these 3 dots that always mean more. So if I click there, I can also get an email notification every time someone fills out the form. Well, that can be really annoying if I'm sending out lots of forms to lots of people, but let's say I'm just waiting on a couple of responses before I shut down a survey. Then that could be very useful. This will send me right back to the spreadsheet area, and I can also download my responses in a CSV file if I want. Unless you work with CSV files, you probably wouldn't have a need for that. I can also print my responses, and I can delete responses. Now what that would mean is that I could clear this area. Um, that means this number would go away and I could reuse this form. It would sort of erase, but I would still have my spreadsheet. So that does not get erased. But if I wanted to use the same form or quiz over and over, I could do that by just clearing it out so that my data doesn't get mixed up. And before I let you go, just want to jump over to my email and show you what that looks like. So because I took all 3 of the quizzes, here they are, but there's my score, and that's the results of Google Forms. I know you're going to love this tool, so I send you off to practice now.